Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me is a very simple honeycomb or honey bottle farm, depending on if you use bottles or dispensers. I'll show you how to make this real quick, and I'll explain to you how to collect the bees. The materials you need for this farm, pretty much what you see. You're going to need a couple of solid blocks. I'm using stone. You will need a dispenser. The 4 glass is so that you can see it, and then you can choose between either the beehive or the bee's nest. You're going to want 3 bees for efficiency here. You can use a 4th or 5th, but it starts to be more lag than it's worth. And then either a whole bunch of glass bottles or shears, depending on whether you want the honey bottles or the honeycomb. I have another copy of those right here. I'll show you how to make these before I show you how to get the bees. So you're going to want to come a couple of blocks up off the ground. Let me just get a little bit further away so we don't run into that farm over there. You're going to place your bee's nest or your hive. Be careful about which direction you put it. You see these dots right here? That's the front. You're going to want to make sure that you point the front away from that solid block. If you're using a beehive, you will notice that there is this little slit right on this side. It's not on any of the others. That slit is the front. So put the front facing away from this solid block. Then we're going to put another solid block on top of this one and point the dispenser into that honeycomb. So you see, you don't see the face anywhere. When you aim it like this, you can see that's the output side, which is what you want. Then you're going to want to come underneath like this, and you're going to put your comparator reading through this solid block, and that way you can get your signal strength. You're going to come out like this and out like this, and this one's actually going to be a top half slab, and it's because you want a signal strength of 5. This will fill up to a level of 5, and that's the maximum when you can harvest for your maximum capacity. So now if you see, we have our dust. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is perfect. So when it gets to that 5th power level, this block will be powered, which will activate this dispenser. Again, it does have to be a dispenser. It can't be a dropper. So now for our output, we're going to want to grab a chest. And you can just have that chest come down under 2 from this hive, and then point a hopper into that. So it will take the items that are generated and put it directly in there for you. And now we want to have something for our bees to pollinate. So let's put some grass or some dirt there so we can put a flower. You can use whatever flower you want, just don't use the wither rose. And then, so you can see it, put glass on all 4 sides like this. And then you would get your bees in here. I'm just going to use some spawn eggs, so let me bring this up a little bit so I can get them in there, and put your bees in there. And I'm just going to close this, but you can close it 1 lower, which is also perfectly fine. And then the bees will pollinate from the flower and go directly into the hive. And once you see the fill level start to increase, so this right now is filled 2, you can see that strength coming out right here, and then coming up, and then once it gets to 5, it will activate. Now if you want your honey bottles, you're going to want to fill this up with empty glass bottles. If you want honeycomb, then just put your shears in there and the farm will do the rest. In terms of speed, this is not that fast. It takes about 20 seconds for the bees to pollinate the flower, and then about 2 minutes for them to turn that pollen into honey inside the hive. So you're looking at a little over a dozen per hour of the honey bottles. You get 3 times the amount of comb as you do bottles, so about 3 dozen of those. Now there is a tip and also a shout out here from El Mango, who made a very, very similar design to this, because this is about as efficient as you can get. It's actually slightly more efficient to build this in the end than the overworld, because the weather will affect the speed of the bees. So you do want to build this in the end if you're going to be there. If not, you really can just put this in your base and let it work in the background, as it'll just keep on going. Now, as I said, you can add more than 3 bees, but the amount of lag it adds versus the amount of time you save by making it faster really just isn't worth it. Now, in terms of the bees, I did find a natural generated hive over in this direction, marked out with a bunch of lights. You can see the bees all flying around here. When you want to get the bees to put into your farm, there are a couple things you can use. I have it here. You can grab a silk touch tool and also a campfire, which will help you harvest them, or you can grab a lead or a dandelion, and that will also help you drag the bees. You can take the bees and drag them with a lead. If I found one of them flying around, of course it's gone right here, and you can grab it with a lead and drag it where you want. And also, if you have a flower, as you can see, it will follow you even if it's not on the lead. You can breed them with the flowers as well. Now, in order to get this hive and not get the bees angry, switch into survival mode. You want to place a campfire underneath the hive, and this smoke will keep them inside that hive. And then you can grab your silk touch tool and grab it, and you have the bees nest with whatever bees were trapped inside so that you can put them directly into your farm. Then you can build a couple of those and just sit back and watch as you automatically get your honey bottles and your honeycomb, which you can then turn into honey blocks, of course. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. Be sure to head on over to Il Mango's video and drop a like for him as well. For more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.